explore issues around illicit financial flows in Nigeria, government's regulatory and policy frameworks, and offer practical recommendations to addressing the economic problem. The Conduit is powered by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from Trust Africa.
All right, 92.1 Vision FM, your number one community-friendly radio station. It is time for The Conduit with Omeleha Ode. Stay with us.
They say Nigeria is too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. Why has the country stagnated on the path towards development? Listen to The Conduit on Vision FM 92.1 Abuja every Thursday at 9 a.m. as we explore issues around illicit financial flows in Nigeria, government's regulatory and policy frameworks, and offer practical recommendations to addressing the economic problem. The Conduit is powered by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from Trust Africa. They say Nigeria is too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. Why has the country stagnated on the path towards development? Listen to The Conduit on Vision FM 92.1 Abuja every Thursday at 9 a.m. as we explore issues around illicit financial flows in Nigeria, government's regulatory and policy frameworks, and offer practical recommendations to addressing the economic problem. The Conduit is powered by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from Trust Africa.
Five minutes gone down 9 o'clock. So good to have you this morning on The Conduit. The Conduit is a program sponsored by Center for Democracy and Development in support with Trust Africa. And today we're still hitting it on illicit financial flows. That's the main focus of this program. When we talk about illicit financial flows, we mean that money, that resources that happens to move out of the country. It crosses the borders. If you've been following us in previous episodes, you get to understand that it's like corruption, but it's way bigger than corruption because it happens to cross the borders. And when we talk about illicit financial flows, it's illegal. That's the word illicit. It's illegal. And today we'll just have to open the phone lines for you to come in, tell us your contribution. What do you think? To what extent will the curbing of illicit financial flows actually affect Nigerians? To what extent will the curbing of illicit financial flows actually affect Nigerians? And we have today in the studio Ayatunde Razak. He is the communications officer of the Center for Democracy and Development. Welcome, glad to have you today.
Glad to be here. Good morning, Abuja. It's cold this morning.
Yeah, it's cold, and it's like it's cold today in the country.
Yes, it's cold
based on assumption.
I think when we talk finance, because that's
the idea.
What
yes,
illicit financial flow is all about. You can get, when you talk finance in Nigeria, you get a bit even colder.
Oh, that's true.
That just gives you chills, not naturally, because here's the thing. There is so much money. I remember growing up, most of the time, the billions used to be the huge money that you hear that is leaving the country, or somebody did a project and then the corruption level was on the billions level. These days it's trillions. You hear 2-3 trillion here, 1 trillion there. You after a while,
you're talking trillions. You know, trillions is the height of the amount we know. What if it's way beyond that and we've not put a lay onto it?
That's exactly the point. You see, it is so huge. The money that goes out, that flows in and out of the country through different illegal means, is so huge that at the end of the day, when the layman, the common man, cannot begin to factor it. In fact, it's unimaginable. It's unimaginable, and there are a whole lot of channels a whole lot of conduits, if you will,
Yes.
where this finance flows illicitly. I think today we'll probably just talk about this in general. I mean, how does illicit financial flow? How does it get out of the economy? And tax. Take tax for instance.
Yes.
There are so many people that avoid paying tax, and that is actually a conduit for illicit financial flow.
Illicit financial flows.
Yes, I mean, honestly speaking, I remember I've held down a couple of jobs, and in some of these jobs, I can't remember when I had to pay tax. Not because I didn't want to pay, but because the structure was not in place
Okay.
by the organization.
Okay, that's by the organization. This tax people get to pay the normal, just that withdrawal from the bank, the account, and all of that.
I think that's the pay.
Yes, that's
Pay
the
as you
pay as you
earn.
earn. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
How effective is it? Is it not like? Is it a thing to actually be happy to do? Because many people don't like it.
Well, before I even say whether it's effective or not, why wouldn't anybody like to pay tax? You see, I'm not.
There are a
disputing-
whole lot of reasons. If you ask me, why wouldn't anybody want to pay tax?
Okay.
There are a whole lot of reasons. I'm not seeing the evidence of this tax I'm paying. So why should I keep paying it?
Yeah, but
And
here's
it
the
increases.
thing. Here's the thing. We need to do our bit as Nigerians.
Okay.
So that's the difference in mindset between a Nigerian and a citizen of the United States, if you will. We need to do our bit as Nigerians. A citizen of the United States is taken for granted. You got to pay your tax. In fact,
Yes.
they will be very bold to say, look, this is my tax. I'm paying my tax. You know,
Yeah, I'm
it's a
happy I'm paying my
pride
tax. Yeah, I understand.
for them. You know, they're contributing to society. We keep talking about government. We keep talking about, but you know, these are little things that eat at the fabric of the Nigerian economy. Just tiny things, tiny bits and pieces that eats at the fabric of the Nigerian economy. So, is paying taxes is actually effective here in Nigeria? The truth is that obviously it isn't. So far, most people don't even want to pay taxes. You want to pay as you earn. You want to
Yes.
cut costs or cut corners
As much as possible.
much as possible.
That's because income is never enough. Yeah, that could be somebody's excuse to that. Income is never enough.
Yeah, when you look at the minimum wage, you know, you understand why
18,000 naira.
people think to themselves that why they have to pay tax above 18,000.
Oh,
naira.
wait. So I'm earning 18,000 naira. I need to pay
And then
tax.
have to pay tax. Well, I can understand, you know, where that grievance is coming from.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, if you were a Christian, say for instance, now you had to
Okay.
pay tithe.
Yes.
You know, you still paid tithe.
Oh, some people even argue about that too. They try to give basis why they should not.
Well,
and
I'm just saying. I'm
Yes.
just saying that's also a structure that's been
Put
in
in
place for a
place,
while.
yes.
That okay, when you earn, you pay 10%.
Yes.
Now the government says, look, you have to contribute to the society. You're earning, you're making a living from doing this particular job. Now the road you're going to take to get to where you're doing this particular job has to be put in place. So here's the thing: pay your bit. Pay as you earn. Don't even pay. The pay as you earn structure is even. I think.
It's flexible.
It's flexible
okay.
enough to accommodate the person that earns 18,000
Yes,
naira
that's true.
and the person that earns in excess of millions. You know, so if you say pay as you earn, just do this bit and then we'll know. You know, we cannot continue to blame the government for everything. I really do. I'm of the opinion that at the end of the day, we have to look at ourselves and say, look, how is money leaving the community? How is money leaving Nigerian economy? You know, there are a whole lot of ways. This tax is one thing.
Yeah, tax is just
a part of it. For instance, like, let me just digress a little here. For instance, take NEPA bills, the PHCN bills.
Okay.
You know, this you have to. Nigeria, we're so used to using things without paying for it. That sense of responsibility is not there. It ought to be a part of our fabric, really. But we're so used to, you know, everybody cuts corners. I have somebody who works with the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, and she's always talking about how people always, even the big men cut corners. The people that you'll expect will actually pay these bills, they look for ways to cut corners, and all of these things are illicit financial flows. They're where money flows to illegally. I mean, you use up power in excess of 50,000 naira. You don't want to pay it. Or maybe you're a big industry because you have industries that actually use in excess of millions of power bills and they don't want to pay it.
It's the normal human being, like that contentment.
That
Yes.
we get
the desire for more, like you always want more to your pockets and all of that.
and
So you don't want to lose.
and you don't want to pay. You cannot. You see, that's the problem with Nigerians. At the end of the day, we want to eat our cake and have it, or we want to eat our boli and have it. But here's the thing: you can't just. At the end of the day, something has to give, and what is given for the society is a sense of corruption all around. Do you understand? Because when you say that as an ordinary man who I want to use this power, but I don't want to pay for this power, the same thing goes for the big man who is saying, look, I want to do this project, I want the money for it, but I don't want to pay as much as should be paid to ensure that this project comes up in the best possible way. So you cut costs, you cut corners, and all of this are streams through which money that should ideally be going to the purse of the nation flows into illicit accounts, then and it's wrong. It's wrong. With Nigeria, we need to sit back and see how we can make this make this work for us.
Okay, for you right now, what's your general perspective of this illicit financial flows? This money actually crossing the borders, leaving the country, leaving our economy. That is even my concern. So what's your general opinion about it?
Well, generally, okay, if we just speak in general now, here's the thing. Money leaves the border of Nigeria every day. Every day, people ship our economy, if you will, abroad. I heard of a governor, an ex-governor now, who established a medical facility outside of this country, and it hurts because we are talking about how we need to build the nation. You are supposed to be a beacon of light for the people of this nation to see, okay, yes, this man is doing the right thing and helping us to build this economy. But instead, you take all of that money, which obviously was generated from here, to another country, and then you establish an institution there that will
creating jobs,
creating jobs, and I hear is one of the best, even the high state of the art, medical facility. Why don't we have that in Nigeria? You see, that's where the money. That's for me. That's the whole crux of illicit financial flow. That's where the money that should be invested in the Nigerian economy. That's where it goes. That's where the streams go. That's where you take billions from this economy.
Yes.
Even for the layman, it's pretty basic.
That's why it gets difficult when it comes to you telling the layman to pay tax.
Yes, I understand. Fundamentally, I've always said this. Fundamentally, what is wrong with Nigeria is a sense of mentality. We don't have a national consciousness. We don't have it. We don't have it in the schools. We don't have it in the institutions of learning. We don't have it in the job. We don't have it in job place.
Should we learn it?
Yes, it should be taught. In the United States, it is taught.
There's national consciousness.
Yes, they teach you. It's not
being patriotic.
Yes, being patriotic. The only thing we're patriotic about is Nigeria and football. In football,
yeah,
in the World
football.
Cup.
I love the support right now.
That's what we patriotic. We buy the jerseys. Everybody, whatever. We that's the only thing, and it's good. I'm not bashing football. I'm not bashing sports. It's good. It's good to foster a sense of unity. But in terms of what makes us Nigerians, a United States, a citizen of the United States does not thinks beyond the fact that, look, I'm from Texas, or I'm from Kansas, or I'm from Arkansas. They think beyond that. The first thing that comes to your mind is that I'm an American.
Yes.
We don't have that as Nigerians. The first thing that comes to your mind is, look, I'm a Nigerian, but I'm also my brother D. Or you say it in Igbo, you say it in Yoruba, you say it in Hausa. We just even after I said even to break it down to ethnic, what they call it. You break that. But if we had a sense of identity of national consciousness, it would start to help redirect how we think in terms of finance, how we think in terms of posterity, because we don't think that. Most of the time, the people, for instance, take the person that the individual I said established an institution outside of Nigeria. If you were thinking in terms of posterity, you'd be thinking in terms of how Nigerians 20 years from now, 50 years from now can benefit from this money that you have get, not in terms of how your children or your great grandchildren, because at the end of the day,
what can actually help this mentality? Because it's the Nigerian thing. I'm thinking of my generations to come. I think I came across something. Bill Gates, someone like Bill Gates, and all of that. They have billions, and as in the wealth with them, and all of that. And yet, I heard they're just reserving millions for their children. That they don't want their children to actually depend on their own structures, or more like the structures are there, but you're not depending on my wealth fully.
Money,
yes, you have to build
your
yours.
own. Yes.
How can that actually become a Nigerian mentality? We're just too scared. When you've suffered, when you see poverty, when you step out of it, you will fear poverty. So no, that's the truth. So maybe that's the Nigerian thing. So what can we actually do about it?
I believe what we can do is from grassroots, from childhood.
Okay.
From the kindergarten, you begin to foster this. You begin to teach them. It's not just we take a lot of things for granted, Nigerians. We do. Our national anthem, our pledge, all of these things are steeped in a sense of nationality that ought to be basic for every Nigerian.
Basic, like you don't just recite it, you know it.
No.
You know what it entails.
It's I pledge to Nigeria, my country. It should be, to be loyal, faithful and honest. To be loyal, faithful. I don't think anybody that is even running for government takes that seriously. We say it every time, but the essence of it is lost on us. It's just so lost on us. Our father, when we begin to look at these basic things, like we teach we teach honesty as a basic thing and not just honesty in itself, but honesty as a national, as a member of this nation, at the grassroots level, at the childhood, at the kindergarten level. When we begin to foster that, people will begin to see as you grow. Children usually grow into things. They just whatever they say, whatever is learned, whatever they learned from childhood. You learn from somebody.
Yes.
So if we harness that from the start, this sense of loyalty, sense of honesty, and we don't just say, look, recite the pledge. We explain. I can't remember any teacher ever saying that. Look, let me explain what this actually.
The lyrics in this pledge is.
Did somebody tell you that? Look, sit down. Look, we use. You sometimes you don't even get it correctly. And it's fine because you can drive me. I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be loyal, faithful, and honest. Serve Nigeria. I put down as so help me God. Everybody go. Everybody say. But if we sat down at the basic level and we sat down and somebody told you and understand this is what this means. This is a cause for which people die.
Oh, that's true.
This is a cause for which an American most times is willing to put country over
first,
self.
Yes.
That's not what we do. Instead, we put self always. After we put self, then we put family. After we put family, then we put relatives. After maybe somewhere back. You even put enemy first before you put nation, Nigeria. It's wrong.
Okay, this is the Conduit right here, 92.1 Vision FM, and I have Ayotunde Razak. He is the CDD Communications Officer, and I'm Omleha Ode, and we're just discussing illicit financial flows, different perspectives of it. What do you even understand about illicit financial flows, and then to what extent can the curbing of illicit financial flows actually help Nigerians for you? To what extent can it actually help Nigerians? And the phone lines are open right now for you if you want to call in, make your contributions, and be part of the program this morning. The numbers are 080-911-27-352 or 080-25140627. You could also send a message to our WhatsApp number, which is 070-8698-2677, or send an SMS to 33538. Illicit financial flows. To what extent can controlling it, curbing it, actually help you as a Nigerian? Let me ask you that first.
To what extent can?
Yes, can controlling illicit financial flows help us as Nigerians?
if you can curb illicit financial flows out of Nigeria, I think it will help a great deal. For one thing, the minimum wage will increase. Let me take for the minister, Mrs. Kemi Adeosun, to have said that, look, IFCs are driven by desire to hide illicit wealth, and hide proceeds away from the public eye and law enforcement agencies, and also conceal the ways that by and means by which illicit wealth is created. You get to see that, look, even Nigerian, even the finance sector is taking this very seriously, because this is chunks of money that can be used to aid development.
Yes, in the country.
But because you want to hide it, I mean, because you can no longer hide in Ghana.
Within
in Ghana must goes and put it on the roof like some ex-governors
did. Abandoned buildings
and put in abandoned buildings or hide in the bellies of snakes.
Let's take this call.
Okay, we have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Glad to have you. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Barista Hassan Omolo. I'm calling from Airport Road.
Okay, Barrister Hassan, please go on.
Yes. And I agree to guest in studio.
Yeah, good morning.
Illicit,
good morning, Barrister.
Yes, illicit financial flows can be immensely caused when we enhance the legal response to corruption in Nigeria. We must make sure that the rule of law is strictly adhered to. And there is a need for legislative intervention. Let us have laws that conform with international standards that are tailored towards stopping these flows proactively. And of course, there is a need for effective prosecution of offenders, because effective prosecution will lead to deterrence. If you punish somebody today and everybody sees how he's suffering, I'm sure nobody will, very few people will want to go the same path or the same road. Of course, and of course, there are certain things that we need to do as a people, such as value the orientation, the cultivation of a whistleblower culture, so that anybody who is trying to transfer money from Nigeria to another place will be promptly reported and punished, appropriate measures taken. And I believe it can be done and it shall be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister Hassan Omolowo, for that contribution right there. Okay, you've heard him, the rule of law.
Yeah, and he makes a very valid point in that if the hammer of law were brought down hard on the perpetrators of illicit financial flow, people who are caught actually, and then perhaps it will be a deterrent for others. But I don't think.
Why don't you think so? Because of our country, like you just told yourself it's Nigeria. This is Nigeria.
I don't think people are afraid anymore. He's right though, but I don't think the people. Somebody actually said. I remember a prof. I was talking with a prof, a doctor, and he was like, "Look, what can only work is the ultimate penalty."
Death?
Yes, he says, look, because people think, you say you're going to put them in jail, they'll be fine. They just look, okay, we just keep some money. I mean, we have cases of people who were actually in prison, incarcerated, and then they come back and they're big people in their communities.
That's true.
So they'll just think, okay, how many? I'll spend a couple of years in jail. Wonder what?
From prison to the throne.
From prison to the throne. So you get that. So I'm not quite sure that that's the model that will actually work for.
Okay, what do you think will work? Or I should come back to that much later.
Yeah, I think we should come back to that.
Okay, because I'm talking about prosecution of offenders. We hear about the looters, we recover the money, all of that. We hear the single treasury is getting stocked up and all of that. There's money there. Yeah. But what's happening to the looters? Everybody is concerned.
What's happening to the looters?
Yes, because all of these, they are like the big guys when you talk about illicit financial, because they have the majority of the money that actually runs out of the country.
Okay, the interesting thing is that the way Nigeria is, we ask what's happening to the looters, and then we also ask what happened to the loot.
Oh yes, what happened to
because
the loot?
these are the things that we need to begin to examine, because on the one hand, that looters who actually looted the money. On the other hand, the monies that were looted that we don't know, that has no accountability for.
Yes.
I remember reading this story. I don't want to dabble into it because I'm not too clear about it. But somebody who had access to some of these funds that were recovered, he was talking and saying that, look, several government officials in highly placed government officials would call him and say, look, this particular amount of money, I want so amount from this so amount from that, and he was like, how is Why do you? How can
Was
you,
it a public?
Yeah, it was
money?
it was a public money. It was a public figure. His report was in a public platform, and he was saying this. I just don't want to delve into it now. But the point is, the money is so flexible. You recover a certain amount. I think it was the money that was recovered at the Koi, scandal ish, Koi gate ish, and the people have access to actually say, okay, look, give me a particular amount from that. Don't you have money from here? Don't you have $20 million? And the way when I read the report, everything was in dollars. I'm like, $20 million is no joke. So don't you have $20 million here? Don't you have $20 million there? What happens to the money? So because you see, it's like taking the chicken, if you will, from the mouth of the dog and putting it in the mouth of the lion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just
not recoverable. Like you can't recover it.
It just keeps you, and we get that a lot in Nigeria. I think what we need to do really is have agencies in place that are incorruptible. We need to have agencies that people will say, we already have enough
like
agencies.
The EFCCs, ICPC, all of that.
Well, the credibility of some of these institutions are getting tarnished.
Questionable. Okay.
They're already. So perhaps what we need is we need an incorruptible judge, like what we used to have
in the stories.
In stories.
Yeah,
we need an incorruptible agency, an agency that is really just dedicated to recovering illicit financial
but we
funds.
get to a year of I know recently some big people have actually been charged, like I think a former governor of a state was charged last week or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, so with situations like this, is there hope? Do you think anything's actually being done? Big people,
when this government came into power, there was a lot of talk about body language.
True.
So I think that when we hear of this person being taken and that person being taken, I'm sorry. In this regard, I may be pessimistic. I just think, well, the elections around the corner, and that's just it's just body language. So
okay, so let's go back to the question I'm actually trying open for the callers. That question is, to what extent can the control of illicit financial flows actually help Nigerians? So back to your own perspective of it.
Well, I believe that developing Nigeria collects significantly lower amounts in terms of tax than other countries that that in terms of the GDP we collect significantly lower. So if we were to curb illicit financial flows out of the country, the amount of money that will be circulating inside our economy will be enough to solve quite a bit of our problems.
And will they be attended to? Will those problems be attended to? The funny thing about problems is the more the money, the more the problems.
Yeah, but we have to take it one step at a time.
Okay.
We cannot say, look, because, like I said, we cannot say because we know that if we get the money, we'll give it to the lion. If we get the chicken, we'll give it to the lion. From the mouth of the dog, we'll give it to the lion. We cannot say that we will not now get the chicken. If we can get it out of the mouth of the dog, let's get it out of the mouth of the dog. It's one step at a time. We'll get to one bridge. We'll get to one bridge, cross it, then get to another bridge, and then cross it. But first of all, we have to stop. At least cut it down. The figures relating to illicit financial flows getting out of the country are mind-boggling. They're just mind-boggling. And they're not even. Some I don't think there are so many zeros. It's even very difficult to pronounce. I think I talked about 80 trillion. To the effect. I think the finance minister was talking about 80 trillion. Crazy amounts of money that you can be sure if it were coming into the economy, it would at least even if it was just circulating inside here, it will still do something. It will generate jobs. Everybody will get a piece of the action
with structures.
Nigerians with structures
because otherwise it will still continue circulating within the same hands and all of that. And that's
it would always circulate between. There's this talk about how the previous I'm not being political. I'm just saying. Let's talk about how in the previous government there was a lot of money flowing in the economy and everybody had a piece of the action.
Yes.
And now there's not so much money flowing in the economy and nobody has. I think here's the thing.
Here's the thing first. Let's go to here's the thing.
Here's the thing. If we have money and the money is in Nigeria, it is better for us than if the money is flowing outside of Nigeria.
Okay.
Like people that make money flow outside of Nigeria, people who want to hide the money from the eyes of the law. They want to hide illicit gains from the eyes of the law. It's better if you kept, again, rumors. It's better if you kept a certain amount of money in a bank in Nigeria. You know,
so
it's
they can
huge.
be generating interest.
Nevertheless, you know, the bank will be, at least be using the money for some things in it. But you can't even do that anymore now, because now with the BVN ish and
yes,
everything,
BVN.
people
Trackers.
they will track the money. Once the money hits a certain amount you have the AFCC probing what's going on, and it is good for the Nigerian economy.
Okay.
It is good, but
so
because of that,
we're taking some steps,
yeah,
baby steps,
because,
giant steps. We're
because of
taking
this,
steps.
because of this security in place now, and this check in place, so that you don't do too much. You don't just deposit a 400 million into your account and nobody knows where it's coming from. Because of that, people now tend to want to hide their money outside of the country. I mean, you hide it in building an institution, you hide it in buying properties abroad, you hide it in all of these things, and it is wrong. You know, a lot of people are naturally greedy. They're naturally selfish. But let your greed, let it stay inside of Nigeria.
Okay, have a greed.
I have a
Nigerian greed.
I have a Nigerian-based greed. Please.
Okay, is there in any way will you blame the oil boom, the fact that it's not available again? Will you just blame it on we're coming back to taxation. We've not diversified yet, and all of that. Would you blame it as a reason why we're having economic issues in the economy and all of that?
Well, the government is trying to diversify. I can give them that.
We're still trying.
Yeah, we're still trying. We probably will not get there. We will probably be saying trying
for
in
years.
10 years. We will still be saying trying. But the point is this: steps are being taken. We might not see the resultant effect pretty soon, but I think in the long run it'll yield. Something has to give. The way we're going as a country, we all know where we ought to go. I mean, you read any report, read loads of report, and they'll tell you, look, Nigeria, like your sick tune says, Nigeria is too rich
to be poor,
too poor to be rich.
In
fact, I think that particular phrase was coined. I saw it in a BBC report somewhere that Nigeria has no business being poor. We just don't. We have everything we need to be rich. Our problem essentially is like I keep saying, is mentality. We have everything we need to be rich. We have everything we need to be the giants of Africa. Every time.
Are we not the giant of Africa?
Seriously?
Who are you giving our giant?
Monica as the giant
yes.
of Africa. Do you feel like the giant of Africa?
No, I don't know what you're talking about, but we're the giant of Africa.
I think that there are a number of countries in Africa that are African. I know
they are striving to be giants, but are not the giant of Africa. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Whatever you say, I will still tell you.
It's a matter of opinion.
Is the giant of Africa.
It's a matter of opinion.
It's the program The Country. It's right here on 92.1 Vision FM, and we'll take a break right here. And once we come back, The Conduit continues right here. Stay with us.
They say Nigeria is too rich to be poor and too poor to be rich. Why has the country stagnated on the path towards development? Listen to The Conduit on Vision FM 92.1 Abuja every Thursday at 9 a.m. as we explore issues around illicit financial flows in Nigeria, government's regulatory and policy frameworks, and offer practical recommendations to addressing the economic problem. The Conduit is powered by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from Trust Africa.